Welcome to the Polar Homestead. We learn finance, permaculture and prepping, a modern view of the world. Don't forget, freedom is in your hands. Stay safe and vigilant, friends. And now your host, Ralph KK. Launch in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Welcome to the apocalypse. Fellow humans, this is me, your host Ralph KK, and today we have a very interesting conversation about, can you guess about what? Today it's a very relaxed and chill topic. Today we will talk about how to grow berries, the magical trick and a special kind of science to grow the best and biggest, juiciest berries in the whole world. So, berries, they are a yearly crop. So every year you get a certain amount of berries at the end of the growing season, so around the end of August, start of September, okay, let's say the end of August, you get your crop. Then winter comes, the berry bushes, they go to sleep, and they will be sleeping until spring comes back again. Usually after the last snow falls, the berry bush will wake up and start growing again. So during winter you could say that they are in some kind of hibernation. Most berry bushes, they are native to the northern hemisphere of the planet, so they need a cold season kind of to reset their clock and to continue their cycle. So that means they wake up, they grow, they give fruits, then they go to sleep when winter comes, and they need this sleeping season as a way to reset their clock. So it's usually not common or a bit difficult to grow berries in warm climates or tropical places like Brazil, in the Amazon or something like this. It is difficult because there's this cold season that the berry bushes, they need to reset their cycle, to start their cycle again. Also because berry bushes, they have this cold sleeping season, you could say that they are a hardy bush, a hardy tree. The bark itself, it is hard like wood, so made for cold weather. And because of this, they are kind of easy to grow. They are not so difficult because the bushes themselves, they are considered a hardy plant. So in general, to grow plants, they have 3 basic kinds of nutrients. Three main fertilizers, let's say. There is nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. In general, plants need nitrogen to grow new foliage. So usually you apply nitrogen in spring at the early stages of everything, so the plants, they grow a lot of leaves at the very beginning. In spring of the cycle, you put nitrogen, a lot of leaves will come out. Then phosphorus, it is a vital nutrient. It is usually the nutrient that helps plant to develop the whole system, like roots, stems, and in general to keep the plant healthy. So you could say phosphorus, this is like a well-being nutrient for the plant. And then potassium or potash, the gardeners, we call this for sure, we call it potash. So potassium, this is the main ingredient for fruit generation, like tomatoes, peppers, aubergines, plants in general that produce fruits like this. They need a huge amount of potassium. So in general, you could say these are the three basic rules of growing plants. Nitrogen for leaves, phosphorus for general well-being, and then potassium for fruit development. So if you use this rationality for berry bushes, or to apply it in growing berry bushes, you would feed the fertilizer in spring at the very beginning when they are waking up. You give them nitrogen. You usually apply nitrogen every 2 weeks, so you give them nitrogen until they start flowering. When they start flowering, you give them phosphorus, like a general well-being nutrient. And then after pollination has occurred and you see like the little berries starting to grow, then this is the time to start giving them potassium, the magical word potash. If you've ever grown tomatoes or peppers, you know that when you give them a lot of potassium, like in the right way, you would get like a really big, juicy tomatoes or nice big peppers. So potassium, it is a key ingredient to have like a fruitful crop. But then some people would ask me, so if potassium it is for fruit development, should I give potassium to corn plants? And the answer is no. These three basic rules apply in general for most plants, but then each specific plant has a different growth cycle and different nutrient requirements. For example, corn, this plant, it only eats nitrogen. Even for fruit production, for the corn cob, it only eats nitrogen, and a lot of nitrogen. When you grow corn in your garden, you would know, or you would notice that corn, this just leaches out completely the nitrogen from the soil. So in the same area, you could maximum 2 times grow corn, and then you have to switch to a different crop because there will be no nitrogen at all in the soil. So you have to swap, to change your crops constantly. with corn, what most people do is they grow corn one season or half the year, yeah, and then they switch to nitrogen fixating plants like beans. You grow beans after you grow corn, so the beans, they are nitrogen fixating plants into the soil. They will fixate the nitrogen back. So back to berry bushes. The best crops, in my own opinion, the best kinds of berries to grow would be blackcurrant, raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries. Also strawberries, but the strawberries, this is not a berry bush. Strawberries, this is more like some kind of weed that grows all around the floor in your garden. So let's say you're growing blackcurrants, some raspberries, and some blackberries. So what you would do in general, this is a trade secret. I'm gonna tell you all my secrets. Spring comes, so the snow melts. Spring comes 1 week, 2 weeks after the last snow. You start to see some life coming back to your dry wood bushes. You see some small little growth there. This is the time to start feeding them nitrogen. And what you would do at this point, you would feed them a liquid solution of nitrogen. So you would buy the fertilizer and you would follow the instructions of how much to apply. It's usually something like so it is usually something like two spoons of your liquid fertilizer. You dissolve it in 10 gallons of water, and then you water this half of your 10 gallons, so 5 gallons per bush of your dissolved fertilizer. But be careful to follow the instructions as written, because you can burn the roots of your berry bushes, so you have to be careful with liquid fertilizer. So at the beginning of the season in spring, you give your berry bushes liquid nitrogen. And the main idea is to feed your berry bushes around every 2 weeks. The growing season is usually something like 3 or 4 months, so there is not a lot of time to get your crop. So you did the first step. You fed your berry bushes your liquid nitrogen. 2 weeks later, you have to change to a different kind of fertilizer. You have to get a granulated fertilizer. Still, we're giving them nitrogen. So 2 weeks later, you get granulated nitrogen, and you have to spread around the base of the plant. It again is, you have to follow the instruction, and it's usually like one big spoon of this granulate fertilizer, and you spread at the bottom of your plant. And these two, let's say these two feedings, they are very important, very key, because these nutrients will dictate how much foliage they're going to grow and how fast they start to grow. So these two feedings, they are key to start the cycle of your plant. Then it's been 1 month, so your plant is growing, there is a bunch of leaves, and it's just growing happily under the sun. Again, 2 weeks later, after you put the granulate, now it is time to feed them some phosphorus. This middle cycle feeding, this can be more flexible. So you can use organic fertilizer. You can use chicken manure, cow manure. You can use chicken pellets, chicken manure pellets mixed with phosphorus. Again, you can find all kinds of fertilizer in the shop. But in general, you can give them some good chicken manure, cow manure, and the plants will be covered for some time. With organic fertilizer like cow manure, chicken manure, you cannot damage the plants if you put a lot. So with this, you can be flexible. You could usually give them like one or two fists or handful of fertilizer per bush, and it's organic, it's natural. You cannot damage the plant, so you can just drop it around the dirt at the bottom. Then eventually your plants will start flowering. And then this is the key time to check what is happening in your plants. Again, if you're in the middle of the cycle, you feed them something organic, cow manure, chicken manure, or even worm castings. This is also like very good fertilizer. So your bushes, they flowered, they got pollinated, and you can see some berries coming out, some berries growing there. From the time that they flower, they got pollinated, after you see the first berries, it takes around, let's say, 1 month, between 1 month to 2 months to get your crop. And this will depend on the kind of weather you have where you live. So the berry will keep growing until the plant decides that it's time to go to sleep soon. So it could be growing 1 month, 2 months, and then the fruit will get ripened depending on what the plant decides. If it is warm, they could just keep growing until it starts to get cold again and the plant thinks that it's going to go to sleep. After the fruit starts to grow, like a small little berry, small little berries start to grow. You have 2 or 3 more, let's say 3 to 4 more feedings. And then, because it is going to be like 1 or 2 months, so you don't need to rush the process. You don't need to give them liquid potash. So you would give them granulate. I would say this is the best method to do it. So you need to go to the shop, you need to find some granulate of potash. There is all kinds of stuff. They sell like some kind of you could say ashes of potash, or some kind of dust of potash. I've seen it looks like kind of a gray stuff. But anyways, you give them granulate of potash again every 2 weeks, and again like one spoon per bush. These are general guidelines for your berry bushes for blackcurrant, raspberries and blackberries. General guidelines. It also works for blueberries, but with blueberries, they like acidic soil. So for blueberries, you need to make your soil acidic. For this, you can buy some specialized fertilizer. You can also use coffee grounds. Coffee grounds will turn your soil acidic. You can also use mulch, wood mulch, but you bury the mulch into the dirt, and you cover the mulch with dirt, so it will start decomposing, and this will make the soil acidic. You can also use pine needles or pine wood, but you put it in the dirt, you cover it with dirt, it starts decomposing, it makes the soil acidic. And this is only for blueberries. Blueberries are the most acidic loving berry bushes ever in existence. So spring is finished, summer is finished, and if you follow the instructions, probably you will have some very big berries. And depending how big and old your bush is, it will depend on how many kilograms of berries you get. Like my blackcurrants, they usually give me like between 5 and 10 kilograms of blackcurrants, for example. The raspberries also, depending how big the plant is, they will give you many berries to eat. Strawberries, this is another story for another podcast. And the strawberries, I would highly recommend you to grow it because it's one of the easiest things to grow. But again, strawberries, this is information for another time, for another podcast. Hope you enjoyed the information, and